Now, the Spanish Civil War was also a propaganda war. The right-wing rebels accused the left-wing, essentially Republican government of shooting priests, raping nuns, burning churches, and destroying works of art. Now, symbolic directorship of the Prado Museum in Madrid is offered to Mr. Pablo Picasso. Picasso accepts it. He's essentially too old to fight in the war, so he decides to join the battle through his art. Now, let's get a little bit into the Spanish Civil War, because a lot of people don't know much about it these days. The Civil War, the Spanish Civil War, lasts from July 18th, 1936, that's when it begins, until April 1st, 1939. Essentially, it's a long, bloody, and complicated conflict. This is basically what happens here. Now, a fascist rebel right-wing uprising challenges the socialist, reform-minded Second Spanish Republic. Essentially, the uprising succeeds in the very, very Catholic provinces of Leon and Old Castile, but is defeated by the workers' militias in Madrid and Barcelona and other northern industrialized cities. The southern countryside falls to the right-wing rebels in major towns like Cadiz, Seville, and Granada, and the working-class resistance is essentially crushed. Rebels from the right have the advantage. They are, in fact, a professional army from Africa, led by Francisco Franco. The right wing is also very, very successful in seeking out help. They get help from fellow fascist dictators like Adolf Hitler and Benito Mussolini. Germany and Italy provide transport via aircraft and airlift Franco's forces that were blockaded in Morocco by the Republican left-wing warships. Hitler and Mussolini essentially turn a failing coup d'etat into a long and tragic civil war. The socialist Spanish Republic is abandoned by the democratic nations or powers of Europe and is inhibited by internal political divisions. They're constantly arguing with each other. The Republicans are not united. The British fear another world war, so they stay out of the conflict, and the French shrink for military aid. The Republic is forced to turn to the Soviet Union for help. Essentially, once in mainland Spain, Franco's Moroccan troops rapidly advance northward to Madrid, while other right-wing forces cut off Basque provinces from France. Franco diverts his army to relieve the besieged garrison of Toledo. This is in September of '36. A victory at Toledo clinches Franco's power base, and the fascists slowly begin purges, very bloody political purges. By October 1936, Franco and the right-wing rebels now control a tightly centralized zone. The Spanish Republic is now deeply divided. Communists, socialists, anarchists all argue constantly on how to fight the war and over the concept of social revolution. But soon arms from the Soviet Union and volunteers from international brigades reach Madrid. That's where you have the American Abraham Lincoln Brigade, for example. So the battle for Spain really revs up again. Remember, the rebels are getting assistance from Mussolini and Hitler, and the Republicans are getting assistance from Stalin. Plus, a number of international brigades have come as volunteers in order to fight fascism. Now, despite the assistance from the expert German Condor Legion, Franco's assaults fail as he attempts to encircle the capital, Madrid. Franco meets with defeat at the Battle of Budillas, which is in December of 36, at Jarama in February 37, and at Guadalajara in March of 37. But the right-wing nationalist rebels still hold the initiative, and between spring and fall of 1937, they easily capture northern Spain. The Republicans are demoralized by German terror bombing, the Blitzkrieg, the lightning air raids. The Basque region is essentially destroyed by German fighters, German air raids. The German Air Force is more than happy, and indeed very eager, to test out their new military aircraft. And they joyfully bomb the northern cities, and after bombing, fly low and machine gun the populace. The Spanish Civil War is in fact a test, a warm-up for World War II. The Republicans try to halt the nationalist rebels' progress by offenses at Burnett in July and at Belchite near Saragossa in August of 1937. Franco's advance is delayed, but at a tragic and crippling cost in human life and equipment. Each time the rebels bring up massive reinforcements, whatever progress the Republicans make is soon squashed before the Republicans can consolidate their victory. By early 1938, Franco launches a great offensive through Aragon towards the sea. By mid-April of 1938, his troops have cut off Catalonia from the rest of the Spanish Republic. By late July 1938, in order to relieve Valencia, the Republicans launched their own diversionary assault across the Ebro River and try to restore contact with northern Spain, Catalonia. Republican troops advanced 25 miles before becoming bogged down for 3 long months in an endless rain of artillery shells and air bombardment. Essentially, they lose all the territory that they captured, and this effectively defeats the Republic. It's the beginning of the end of the war. Barcelona falls in January of 1939, and Madrid falls in March of 1939. The Republicans put up a stubborn fight-to-the-last-man resistance, but they can't stop Franco and the nationalist rebels from advancing. The Spanish Civil War ends on April 1st, 1939, and essentially has cost roughly 1 million Spanish lives. The Socialist Republicans go into exile in order to avoid prison, torture, and execution if captured. Remember, Franco's doing an awful lot of purges. Picasso fights the war the only way that he can,